Hi there, my name is Leilani, and today I'm going to be showing everyone how to plant their own flower planter. And it doesn't have to be just flowers, it can be vegetables too. So first you need to know what supplies you need. You need a planter and you need soil, and then you can choose your plants. We have lots of people down here at Alaska Mill and Feed that love to help you choose the plants that you want to put in your planter. And like I said, you can also put vegetables in if you want, maybe some small carrots or onions or parsley if you prefer herbs. And then you want a soil moistener and fertilizer, because that will help you to avoid having to water your plants so much, and it will also give you your plants a much better start. So the first thing that we need to do is put the dirt in the planter, and I have my planter about half full. So I have more soil here, and I usually start with the planter about 2/3 full, and then I add soil as I need to. So when I start, this is about how much soil I put in the planter to start with, because you can always take some out, which I probably will.
So would you say kind of right under that rim?
Right under, yeah, right under the rim. If your planter has a rim like this one does, then you would put it right under the rim. Then you sprinkle in the soil moistener, which you can also get at the mill, and or fertilizer. Now, if you have soil that you have purchased that already has the moistener and fertilizer in it, and there are some, you don't need to do this step. So I'm putting it in, and then I'm going to mix it up really good. Take my hands, and you probably can't see this, but see, it's mixed in really well, so that when you put the plants in, it will be, all of the plants will have the moisturizer to keep the soil moist longer, and the fertilizer in it. So then the next step is to decide where you want your plants to go. And every plant grows differently. These are snapdragons, and these will get taller, and you can learn about how tall they'll get by reading the label. Every label will tell you where to plant it, how tall it gets, and how far apart it should be spaced. So this is what the label looks like. So these are snapdragons. They're going to get about 12 inches tall. So
if you give me the plant tag, I can show it up close to the camera.
Great. I am going to put these in the middle of the planter. So it will be, there you go. I think it's pretty blurry. It's pretty blurry. It's too close, I think.
Focus it then.
Okay.
We tried.
So anyway, these are going to be, what I kind of do is I plan my planter before I plant, because it makes it look a lot better when you're done. It looks nicer when you're finished. So I'll put the plants in here, and then this is called Dusty Miller, and these tend to grow out but up. So these I might put, there's 4 plants in this 4-pack, so I might put one on either end, or maybe put 2 around the snapdragons, put them all around the snapdragons. Then these are nasturtiums, and these are known for hanging over the edge of the planter. So I would put these on the ends or around the edge of the planter. Now I'm going to show you how to remove your plants, because if you've never done this before, kids, you have to kind of take them out very carefully. You push from the bottom like this and pull your plant out, and you can see how this one started to fall apart. So you kind of have to hold it in your hand. And then I just kind of lay them where I think I want them to go to start with, just because it's easier. And you see their little roots. So their little roots will turn into big roots. So I've got the 2 out that I want. Then I'm going to take these, And do the same thing. You can just kind of push up from the bottom. Don't worry about wrecking the planter, because wrecking your little pot, because that's not going to matter. Then I do the snapdragons. And if it's a good idea to check and make sure your plants are watered a little bit. Your starter plants are watered, because sometimes you may have trouble getting them out of the planter otherwise. These sat in here overnight, so they got a little bit dry. So, but I pop everything out, especially when I'm working with smaller plants. These are kind of baby plants. So I'm going to start, and I'll do the nasturtiums last, because they're going to go around the edge. So I've looked at my planter, and you basically want the plants to be about a ½ inch below the lip of the planter. So in looking at this, I see that I need to add some more soil before I put my plants in. So I'm not going to dump it in. I'm just going to take my hand and put some more in. And I'm going to dig a hole. And I'm not going to press anything down yet. I'm just going to kind of put it in the planter.
And if you do have any questions throughout the class, you can either post them in the chat box and I can read those off to Leilani, or you can unmute yourself and feel free to ask your questions as we go along.
We definitely want you to ask questions. So you just make a little hole with your fingers. And of course, if you don't like to get your fingers dirty, you can put gloves on. It doesn't matter to me. I'm a hands-on gardener.
I'm the opposite. I don't like getting the dirt stuck in under my fingernails, so I like gloves.
It usually takes me about 15-20 minutes to get my hands clean when I'm done gardening. So I just keep putting the dirt around, putting the soil around your plants, until the one thing you don't want to do is go over the original height of your plants. So if your plant, you don't ever want to put more soil in than was in the planter originally, in the little pot with the plant. You want your plants to be at the same level as they were in their parent pots. That's what we'll call them. So now I'm going to put the Dusty Miller kind of like on the edge around, and you can move the soil around as you do this. It's not necessarily a fast process, but it's a process that you want, where you want to do it correctly so that your plants have the best start. And if you don't, the first time you do it, if you don't get it exactly right, plants are very forgiving. The only thing that you can usually do with plants that they don't forgive you for is water too much or too little. So, and the other thing you kind of want to do is make sure when you plant, when you choose your plants, and that's why it's always good to ask if you don't know, you want to make sure that you're putting the same types of plants in the planter. So plants that need sun should all be planted together, and plants that need shade should be planted together, especially when you're doing annuals. If you plant them, some plants together with that are sun plants and some that are shade plants, some of them may not do as well as others. Okay, so I just kind of filled in between the plants. Now I'm going to put the nasturtiums in, because the nasturtiums are the plants that will, you can see how they're kind of falling over now. They will be the ones that will grow over the edge of the pot. And see, these are a little bit, these maybe should have been watered, but I'm just going to stick them in here, and then we'll water them later. And I'm kind of planting them close to the end of the pot, the edge of the pot, because they need to be close to the edge so they can go over the side of the pot if they need to. And then I'll take another one. I'll probably put these more along the sides of the pot. See how hard these can be to get out of here sometimes, and they get tangled. So then just kind of, you can kind of see where I'm at now with this. I'll hold it up. So the nasturtiums are there on the side. They're kind of already leaning over a little bit on this side. Then I'm going to put these two on this side. Just kind of dig them in, dig them down in, but remember, don't go over the original height that they were in their mother pot. Because if you do, it takes a while for the roots to get started and really for them to really reroot. This one is a little bit dry, so we kind of want to make sure that we press it in a little bit more so those roots are protected. Then you can look at your pot and say, okay, do I have any spaces where there's no soil, or if there's soil, not enough soil in between the plants, and kind of just press it down very lightly. You don't want to press it down really hard because it compacts the soil and then the roots can't develop as much as they should. Just want to take your hands and press them down lightly. Then what you want to do is give it a good, just kind of give it a shake or two. And you want to water it really good the first and second day. Then don't water it the third.
Oh, we have a question.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I missed the first part. My grandchildren were here. Can the dusty, I want to do a pot of nasturtiums because I have some other ones as well. Can you put the dusty miller in with nasturtiums, or should I put the nasturtiums from both packages, both sets, into the one?
What you can do, however, Dusty Miller and nasturtiums can both handle the sun. So you should be fine. Like this tag says, it plants in full sun or part sun, and these are all full sun or part sun plants. But I can tell you that just from knowledge that they prefer a good 8 hours a day of sun.
Okay, the nasturtiums, right?
But well, the nasturtiums and the Dusty Miller or the snapdragons, you should be fine. Right. You should be fine putting the nasturtiums and the Dusty Miller together.
Okay, thank you.
If you want to do that. So
What
you want
happens if you take too long?
what?
They muted them.
Okay, so you want to water them the first and second day, but not the third and fourth day. That will give the roots a chance to develop and spread out and reach out a little bit. Then you water them when the first, maybe you can stick your finger in the soil and see if it needs to be watered. So then what you want to do is you can either put your labels. What I normally do is I'll take my label and I put them down. I take one of each and I put them way down in the planter so that I know what plants I've planted, because sometimes people don't always remember what they've planted, or maybe there's a specific color, like this is Sonnet Carmine. So you may really like this color and want to buy it next year. And many times the mill will have the same plants the following year. So we have all of these plants right now. I think most of them, but after you're done, then what you want to do is, these have all been hardened off, and hardened off means that they've been outside for long enough that they don't need to come in at night. So if your plants if you picked plants that have been outside for a while, then this planter would be good in a southern exposure or a southwest or southeast exposure. And you can save one of your labels to keep for next year. And basically you are good to go. You can enjoy the plants, watch them grow and watch them bloom. And next year, decide whether you want to maybe do the same planter or do another planter. Just remember, don't let them dry out completely, because that's very hard on the plants. Any questions?
Yes. How tall does the snapdragon grow?
This variety shows that it gets about 12 inches. So it'll be about this tall.
So they need to be staked.
Do they need to be staked?
They probably won't, because I'm anticipating that the Dusty Miller and the nasturtiums will hold them upright enough. And what I have found for stakes are plastic straws. especially for smaller plants like this. Or I break a twig off of a bush and I put that in and use that as stakes. If you don't have anything else, you can use that in a pinch.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
No, I think that's all.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and we hope to see you at the mill soon. Have a happy time planting.
And we always love seeing everybody's end result. So if you want, you can always take a picture and you can share with us on our Facebook page. And we would love to share that with everybody. And especially throughout the season, you can always keep us updated with how your plant is looking by just sharing photos with us.
Okay.
Yeah, how's your planter looking?
It's looking
Show her with your camera.
with this one or no?
Which you got someone ready.
Right now. We're still doing it, but
Oh,
so far we
pretty.
have-
Oh, it looks nice.
Oh, those look great. So it looks like you've got the snapdragons in one, and then you've got the nasturtiums in the other one. Those are going to be beautiful.
And just remember, you don't need to fertilize now until probably July if you have the type of soil that has fertilizer in it, or if you added fertilizer to it. You can just check the bag. Your soil bag should show you, like this says, enriched with controlled release fertilizer. So that what's on your bag should show you whether you need to fertilize or not.
Okay.
And then Leilani, once they start
Jamie?
fertilizing again, how often should they fertilize?
If you use soil like this and put in the fertilizer like I did today, you won't need to fertilize again until probably July. And by then, that's going to take you through August, which is basically the end of our growing season for annuals up here. You shouldn't need to fertilize again then until, well, you won't need to fertilize, I would assume, until the end, until next year, because these are annuals. These are going to die at the end of the summer. But once this year, after you initially plant, should be fine. Unless you just have regular potting soil. And you don't want to use soil that's out of your garden. You want to use potting soil because that's better for the roots of these plants. These plants are meant to be in containers lots of times, especially if you're planting them in a container. It's better if you use like a potting soil. But if your soil has no fertilizer in it, then you can use like a liquid fertilizer, and you may need to fertilize a little more often, like once every 2 or 3 weeks. The one thing you don't want to do is over fertilize, because then that causes the plant to bolt, which makes it get really long stems, but not very nice blooms. You want it to be, you want the plants to be fertilized, but not too much fertilizer. So maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks, if you didn't put anything in the soil.
Donna does have a question. Go ahead, Donna.
If I do, I'm sorry I missed the first part, so I'm sorry if I'm having you repeat. I was gathering materials for my granddaughters. One of them was 5. Anyhow, what kind were the fertilizers? Because I've done a garden before. I've done container gardens, and I know a little bit more about seeds, not seeds, green leaves and flowering ones, plants. What kind of fertilizers did you use in the bag that you did? So I have an idea as I get more.
Are you talking about like a liquid fertilizer or?
Oh, she's just asking what type of fertilizer was in the bag.
In the kit.
So in the kit, you're gonna have, sorry, I can come in and show you myself. I'm behind the camera. Here we go. So in the kit,
Yeah,
we
I'm
have the
sorry if you did this
Apex
already.
slow release fertilizer. And we only sell it in big bags over at the wholesale division, but any type of slow release fertilizer is going to be similar to what was in the kit today. So you should be good to go all season long. If you want just a typical blooming type of fertilizer, you can even use just like an all-purpose, or there's actual bloom specific fertilizer, which is going to be great for any type of plants that have flowers. And a lot of time that's
Okay.
gonna have, I believe
Because I
it's
do
the
know-
higher middle number.
Right.
Yeah, higher middle number.
It is
So any
the
general
no.
purpose fertilizer that you have that slow release works great. The thing is, you just don't want to over fertilize.
Okay, because
There are
I
so
use
many on the
nasturtiums
market.
for salads.
What?
Because I use nasturtiums for salads.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
that's fabulous.
Well, then you would probably want to use a more natural fertilizer. So any slow release
Organic
organic
type
fertilizer
fertilizer.
would work.
Okay, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Well, thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And just check on YouTube.
Yeah, and we'll go ahead and send this out later
Or
this
Facebook.
afternoon. It'll be on our YouTube channel. So we'll send out the link to everybody and their email address that they gave us when they
You can
registered
use
for the
another one if you
class.
want to spread them out. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.